Kamusta? How's your weekend going, everyone? I'm glad you could join me this morning. Gab Villegas here of The Den. And today, let's wind down a bit. Again, thanks for being here, and I'd like to thank the DTI Design Center of the Philippines and its partners who made the Design Week Philippines possible. This week has been amazing, and other than the two main events happening later today, there are activities and events happening until November 2. So better watch out for that. At this point, I invite you to join us in a quick virtual tour of our humble space inside the 90-year-old First United building at the historic Escolta Street. Ang saya. I'm glad all of you can join us for that quick tour. And then, since the start of the community quarantines last March, a lot of people have been staying in at home and have been exploring their own brewing techniques and have begun at least brewing their cups of coffee at home while their favorite cafes are closed. One of our favorite brewing methods here at the Den is the AeroPress. We prepared a short demo with our barista Jonah and her recipe and method of brewing with the AeroPress. Here we go, and here it is.
My dear little Gabrielle, that means nothing. It must have been. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. And I haven't stayed away, and I want that child. But you're not going to have it, is that so?
Smug. You missed it. What do you say, Frank? I believe some words. Words? What words?
All right, what an amazing demonstration. And thank you so much for the tour of the Space Gab. Truly, ang dami naming nakakamiss sa The Den, sa Escolta. It has been, a trying time for a lot of small businesses, a lot of cafes as well, like yours. So, um, I'm really nostalgic watching your video. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, and thank you, Andre, for joining me here in my channel.
'Di ba? Oo, vlogger na tayo. Oo. Um So, Gab, again, the times have been kind of no, very uncertain for cafes and hubs like yourselves, no. So my first question to you is, what were your first thoughts when the news of the pandemic and the quarantine broke?
Initially, syempre like weeks before the quarantine officially started, parang there was buzz na that Metro Manila will be locked down, ganyan, and then there's news of the virus. So I was extremely worried, of course, for the safety of family, my team here at the Den, and then when they announced that the lockdown would be starting on March 17, I was thinking to myself, nako, ano nang mangyayari, di ba? And we have to close down. I mean, the food and beverage business is a very slim margin business. So at times you can't really afford to like close down for a long period of time. So that was the initial thing that came to mind. It's just the worry of being able to, of course, keep the team employed, the space running, and then all of our plans and dreams, of course, for the space to, yeah, continue. That was the first thing in mind.
Yeah, I mean it's really like, sorry, ang daming spaces, no. I believe the whole hub of the First United building, hindi lang kayo ang nag-close, no? So talagang affected no, during the onset of the pandemic. So my question is, how has the Den and the hub community been since the pandemic? Obviously, no, nakapag-transition na tayo. You're now able to open, and you can now have community members and coffee lovers back, no. But could you tell us about, how your community has been affected during the pandemic up until this point?
Like for us at the Den, we were like at the start of the community quarantines. I was really like just paralyzed emotionally. Just the overwhelming sense of what's going to happen next. Uh, what do I have to do? That sense of panic coming over you just completely paralyzed me, I think, for a month, because it's not just me that I'm thinking about during that period. I'm thinking about the staff, the team members here at the Den. Be how will I be able to, 'di ba, continue to provide employment for them? I mean, that really paralyzed me for quite a bit of time. And then, of course, thinking also about the Hub Make Lab. How do we continue to provide this platform for creatives and artists and other cultural programming? And then, yeah, after that, mm, I think I just tried my best how to how to survive, because that was the bottom line for me. How do we survive as a space, as a business? And then that's when we thought of initially of coming up with the website for the gift cards, just to aid in supporting the staff during that time and just cover other costs. Ayun.
And ano no, it's great because yun nga, your story is so relatable because pati kami, we run a space called Pineapple Lab, and tama ka dyan, we were all paralyzed. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how long this would happen. And then after a month nga, we saw that other businesses, including yourself, were coming out with different ways to want to still be sustainable. And nakita ko nga yung gift cards na yon. So what was the inspiration for those gift cards? And I know that the Den has created an online cafe, di ba?
Yes.
So how did it transition from a gift card to an online cafe? And tell us more about the online cafe.
So, the main kick, I think, or the main motivation that inspired putting up initially that website for the gift cards is realizing that all of the cultural and cultural spaces and all of the small businesses like ours have been left to their own devices. I mean, there was just a point that you realize na no one's coming to help you, no one is going to save you. You just have to roll up your sleeves and then, yeah, just start doing something just to kick you out of that stupor, I think. Yeah, that was the main motivation. I think that was the frustration that there isn't enough support systems, I think, in this country for spaces like ours. And then, yeah, that was it initially. And then, yeah, we have like institutions and then agencies talking about creative spaces and creative hubs, just keep research and then parang gawa ng programming about creative hubs and creative spaces. And then, guys, pandemic na, ano, how do we go beyond the online webinars, the online talks? How do these institutions or agencies really reach out to spaces like ours to help us give a boost up, diba? Just to get ourselves out of the situation and start again with the important cultural work that we do.
And I feel like it's about no not waiting anymore. It's about creating opportunities for yourselves, like many other restaurants and cafes out there. And how has that experience been?
It's been very interesting, pero come to think of it, we're us, tayo Andre, and then Jody, we work in this cultural sphere that we always initiate things or we always fill in the gaps for what's missing in the communities that we serve. Pero at this time, it was us filling in the gaps for the things that we need to survive as cultural spaces, for us to fill in the needs to survive as very small businesses. I think that was the main thing happening going through that. And then for the website naman, we came up with the idea that people are locked up in their homes. They have no option. They can't go out. They can't enjoy and experience the space, the neighborhood. So why not Derek Tumala, our creative director and cultural programmer here at the Den, he came back after a long hiatus, thought of the idea of, hey, let's translate the neighborhood, the space, and then the community to an online website where they can still look at it and feel that they still belong to that community.
And you talk about community, and it's quite an important facet of the den. This year's theme is obviously hyper collaboration, no, for a better normal. And could you talk about some of the collaborations that have transpired as a result of this pandemic within your community and within your cafe, in order to continue your activities?
Ayun, so uh, during the pandemic, the thing that we did, siguro that would be best, the best example for hyper collaboration was just making everyone's skill sets available to each other. I mean, uh, it's nothing new to us like cultural workers, Andre. Parang automatic yan. Oh, I can do this, this, this. How can I help you with my skill set? It's really dependent. The survival during this pandemic is dependent on what we call the friendship economy here in our cultural scene. Kasi, di ba, it's trading really what we can do and our abilities to help out others. So, yeah. And then examples would be, yeah, like uh, Derek coming back after his hiatus just to help out and check out on the den. Um, and then for the hub naman, it's really, I think our survival is, or our ability to continue at this time is very dependent on a community that wants us to survive and to thrive. We wouldn't have made it until this point, I think, in operating if it were not for the support of like the building owners. It's a chain kasi. It's not just one person wanting to help out. Uh, it and yun, they really want us to survive and to weather this pandemic, and I think we're really blessed with that. I don't think that's the case din kasi for everybody, so I'd like to thank really the community here, and of course the First United building for giving us that opportunity and then boost so that we can continue on.
And you mentioned the First United building. For those who are not aware of the First United building and how much it has contributed to the cultural sector, could you tell us more about where you are located?
So yes, we're located here in our small corner of the city of Manila. We're located in Escolta Street. It's one of the most historic streets in the country. A lot of firsts happened here in the street, whether in terms of commerce or in terms of culture. Like walking down the street today, you'd see like heritage structures, culturally significant buildings, and things like that. And then the building that we live in, it's the First United building. It just turned 90 years old 2 years ago. And then it is being run by, thankfully, a very progressive thinking family that is willing to like explore or experiment with the uses of their space. Initially, uh, culture or the arts wasn't a factor, I think, for them in reinvigorating a neighborhood. But through the constant dialogue and conversation through the ten years that we've been here working in the neighborhood, they've really grown to realize how vital a role that the art and culture plays here.
Great, thank you for that. And you talk about collaborating and working with your community members. You mentioned that you get your coffee beans from Calzada.
Yes.
And um, how what do you think of our current coffee culture? I mean, over the years, diba, there's been so many waves of types of coffee shops. I mean, I'm working at a coffee shop at the
Yes,
moment
you are.
as a side gig, so I could definitely relate sa pagod, sa stress, sa ano, so everything sa pagdi-deal with, with customers, our lovely customers. So, talk about the current coffee culture in the Philippines, or at least in Metro Manila, and how has it evolved from when you first started?
So, sorry, excuse me. Right now, we're experiencing what they call like the third wave or the specialty wave in the coffee industry. It's what happened before that was the first and second wave. Like the first wave is about the commodification and commercialization of the trade of coffee. The second wave is the uh, big chain cafes that prioritize the efficiency of from the production of the coffee until the serving of the coffee in the cafe. And then the third wave is focusing on uh, beyond the cup that we enjoy, like how are the beans processed and produced? Is it ethical? How do we highlight these farming communities and origins that produce this coffee? And then how can we translate that inside of the cafes that serve these? What brewing methods can highlight all of these hands that the bean has transferred to each other until it reached the cup? It's basically telling the story of that, the origin of coffee, and how many people it really takes to produce the bean that you enjoy in your cup right now. And
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
yeah, and here in the Philippines right now, like since we operated, there have been several coffee shops that have started that kind of movement here in the Philippines. And then, yeah, it's getting. I think the pandemic has aided in the better understanding and appreciation for what really a good bean is. Kasi everybody's brewing at home, di ba? Everybody's trying out, everybody's getting to know that coffee is not just like a burnt bean that you normally drink from a coffee maker, di ba? It can be more complex, and that complexity is a result of the story of how it has been processed by the farmers and how, yeah, it's been.
I feel that really is parang true hyper collaboration, because from the plant, from the farmers to the roasters, to the coffee shop, and then going to the customers, or the consumers, no, it really has taken a very very long journey to get to our noses. So my question is, do you really have to be like a coffee connoisseur to appreciate coffee? Kasi 'di ba may mga ano no, may mga coffee experts tayo, no? Pero sa ating mga madlang people, no? Paano natin ma-appreciate ang coffee, lalo na galing siya sa kamay ng mga farmers, and as I mentioned earlier, it goes through a long process of cultivation.
Yeah. Uh, like for me personally and the team here at the Den, we believe that yeah, there are several routes that you can go in appreciating coffee or appreciating specialty coffee. You can go through the connoisseur route where you really study the flavor notes, tasting profile, calibration.
Mga citrusy, it's ano, may mga ganyan, 'di
Yes,
ba?
the brightness, the
Brightness,
body, yes.
aromatic, oo, ganyan.
Yes, you can like just dive head into that and immerse yourself in that coffee connoisseur route. And then, but we believe also that there are, like, of course, things that are personal about how you drink coffee or how you brew coffee. There are preferences that you have. And ultimately, it's how you want to drink coffee and how you want it to taste, diba? How you want to enjoy it. So, we're pretty open, I think, about that. But of course, I mean, the connoisseurship is there because there are accepted standards and such, diba? And it's very important, and it's good also to learn and to know about that. But at home, of course, you just want to enjoy a cup, how you want the bean to taste, diba? And then
Exactly.
at the cafe naman, it's how each barista maybe calibrates their espresso shots in the morning. Kasi like here, the barista, we have like a general preference or for all of the baristas when they calibrate the machine in the morning. But it really depends on the personality and the taste of the barista that does the calibrations here. Even when they do the manual brew, I mean, it's very important that to be open that there are these different kinds of things. There are these different flavors that you can enjoy, and but what's most important is you don't lose that awareness of the value chain. That's what they call it, the coffee value chain, where the bean you are drinking came from, diba?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
the whole
exactly.
process behind it.
Wow. And then you talk about, during the pandemic, people have started brewing their own coffee. Many home brewers are setting up their own coffee stations at home. How do you feel about that?
Ako naman, I'm very happy kasi at least that is the intent of that is the intent, I think, of the specialty movement, is for people to take that appreciation for coffee to another step. I mean, beyond the cafe,
Mm.
the the cafe experience. I mean, I'm very happy that people are brewing at home and then starting to enjoy and learn more about coffee. They just don't hindi lang sila yung nagpupunta sa cafe just to enjoy the interiors or to take selfies, diba? They are really now learning more about it and the process behind it.
Kumbaga mas na-appreciate nila when they brew the coffee on their own. Um, and of course, for everyone who is just joining us right now, we are with Gab Villegas of the Den, Manila, at the First United Building in Escolta. And of course, this is DTI Design Center's Design Week Philippines 2020. Again, Gab, so many insights that we're learning from you. And thank you for sharing with us so far. Later on, meron tayong mga questions from our live audiences. No, but if you want to ask any questions, we are live on Facebook at the DTI Design Center page, and feel free to shoot them away, and I can read them out loud. And of course, today is the last day of Design Week Philippines 2020, and there will be two more events after this. All right, so Gab, next question. There are a lot of online businesses opening up right now.
Mm.
So how do you think or it will impact businesses like yours?
Ako, I think it's a compliment kasi 'di ba the small and medium-sized business sector of the country is actually the one that employs a lot of people. And it's good that people are starting their own businesses, being their own bosses, and just taking that step into entrepreneurship. Kasi it means that, di ba, we're not just reliant on like 10 big conglomerates for the economy of the Philippines or for employment, 'di ba? So it's good that there's this wave and rush of new entrepreneurs who are starting at home. And I think that's a compliment kasi once these home entrepreneurs become successful, it means more income to support small businesses like ours also.
And what's unique about the Den is yun nga, it has become an intersection of coffee, art, and culture.
Yeah.
How do you think this pandemic changed or shaped the way we view art and artists, and or the role of arts and arts and culture in our society today?
So when we did the relaunch of the Den a few years back, mm, I think Derek and me were being really sneaky about it by calling our space a coffee shop. Kasi, I mean, that's one facet to it. Essentially, it's a culture space itself. Pero we did not want to call ourselves that. I mean, because of maybe the pressure of continuing to mount like activities because of our background. Pero essentially, it is a culture and art space disguised as a coffee shop. And then, like, for the role of art and culture in the pandemic, I think the role of art, creativity, and culture in the pandemic is very vital. And then that cultural work and then work in the art um, should continue because I mean whatever work that is produced or what discussion is moved forward by people in art and culture will be of course documented and then maybe exhibited, but the meaning of that isn't going to be revealed to us at this moment, that I believe. It will be there, it will be accessible for us in the future, and it will just maybe help us make sense and meaning of what we all collectively went through during this time. I think that's the role of art and culture during the pandemic. And then, of course, the people naman working in art and culture, yun, they are vital din. Kasi yun nga eh, like spaces are like ours or people who work in this community are initiators and disruptors. I mean, we initiate things to help each other out. We initiate things to call change to institutions that need to change. And then, yeah, so it's, yeah, very vital that, and yeah, that it's very important. Arts and culture is very important during this time.
Thank you, Gab. I know, no? Ang dami nating iniisip, no, when it comes to arts and culture. But one thing that you mentioned just now was that you were being sneaky when you said you were gonna open a coffee shop. So what was the cafe a business strategy in order to sustain the art activities? Would you say that?
Yes, it's a way of sustainability kasi I mean coming also from work in independent artist initiatives, it's like the problem is always funding, 'di ba? And then you have to go to these institutions or agencies to ask funding for projects and programs that you want. And then, of course, it's up to them if they want to support the ideas or the things that you want to advocate for or to propagate, of course. And there's also the factor of these institutions being using culture as soft power, basically to set agenda, to set things that they want to be moved forward in the world, essentially, using art and culture. So when we opened up the Den, Of course, that's the primary reason also sustainability, but it's also a way, the coffee shop component is a way for us to be free, to initiate programs that we want, that
Mhm. Independent talaga,
na
'no?
independent talaga, or
Mm.
that walang gatekeeper who can say na we can't do this because the condition of this funding is dependent on this. Di
Mhm.
ba? There are, pero I'm not saying na that funding from institutions are bad. It's just that sometimes there are these strings or hidden strings that are attached to it.
Mm. And the strategy of having your own parang business model
Yeah.
in order to sustain your art activities, I think worked out well for the Den and the Hub Make Lab because of the initiatives that you've done, not only within the building but in Escolta and Metro Manila.
Oh.
Um,
Pero it's not easy, ah.
it,
Sobrang hirap.
Ay, mahirap talaga, no? And yan ang reality check nating mga independent businesses, no? Like when we opened up our own space, we were like, oh, ito, kaya natin to, gawin natin to. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait, we didn't think about this. Or wait, I'm not a businessman. What am I doing? Di ba?
Yes, kasi it's easy kasi for people to misunderstand it. I mean, when looking through the filter of your phone screen, I mean, our spaces look very like nice, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's always sunny, it's always perfect, we're
Mm-hmm.
always active, 'di ba? Pero what can't be seen beyond that filter, I think, is the hard work, all of the sacrifices and problems as well that we endure, 'di ba?
Ay,
To
nako.
be able to just serve our community and help out by filling in the gaps.
Mhm. So would you say that you're some sort of hybrid organization, no? You're a business with a social mission.
I think it is. I think it's an experiment to see, kunyari, how cultural space can move in this commercial setting. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
how it can complement each other. Kasi, di ba, uh, yeah, we can opt to like really be independent and just like no, we can just start and initiate things on our own. We don't need anything. We don't
Yeah.
need to think about sustainability. But also, it's important then na yun nga, there's that component that sustains it, di ba?
Mm-hmm. And speaking of sustainability, you said in the tour of the space kanina is that you promote Philippine coffee. And one of our live viewers is asking, it's Kyle Lorenze, how do you folks maintain your supply chain of raw materials despite the restrictions on the entry and exit of goods? Especially the coffee beans and tea leaves that grow in far-flung places that is needed to be brought to the cafe.
So, hi Kyle. Kyle is a regular here at the Escolta events. Nice to
Wow.
at least see you here online. So, for us at the Den, during the pandemic kasi, like most of the commercial business districts in Metro Manila have ground to a halt. Pero here in the Binondo, Divisoria area, it's a center kasi of trade and logistics and supply. So it just paused, I think, for a few days. And then after that, puno na parati yung parking dito sa street. And then like our suppliers here sa the Den are mostly from the neighborhood. So apart from like minor changes in their operations schedule or operating hours, the supply chain here in the neighborhood really just tuloy-tuloy lang sila na nag-operate. And then for the coffee naman, what I've heard from the Calzada team, it has been very fortunate kasi like the coffee harvest is usually towards the end of the year. There are maybe like one or two harvest seasons in a year. And then the harvest season lasts November to February. I just finished before the community quarantine started, so they had supply here in Manila. But of course, they faced difficulty also in terms of logistics kasi they weren't able to bring down, of course, everything at the time kasi usually they leave it there, then they transfer it here to Manila part by part. So, ayun. Uh, af- Thankfully, may supply sila, and then when the restrictions were eased, they were able to get more supply here.
All right. And another question, Gab, no, from Christina Romero. How do you think the local coffee industry is holding up during this pandemic? You touched on it a little bit, but would you be able to kind of expand and give us your insights on what's happening in the coffee industry at large based on your experience during the pandemic and this sort of transition into opening up already?
Hi, Christine Romero. She's also a regular at events here at
Daming
Escort.
regular.
How are you, Christine? So, the local industry, of course, all of the customer-facing aspects of the coffee industry, like the cafes, of course, obviously took such a big hit because they weren't able to operate. Like most roasters and then processors of coffee, I think we're able to shift their business to those who are brewing at home or those ordering at home or those starting their own businesses like those bottling cold brew at home. Pero still, of course, vis-a-vis the demand of the commercial establishments versus the demand of the ones starting their own businesses at home or just enjoying the coffee at home, there's of course a disparity, huge disparity between that. Pero yeah, most of them are still continuing the yeah, they're continuing to produce coffee so that people can still enjoy coffee at home, and then hopefully more of the cafes open back up so that those cafes advocating for Philippine coffee can grow the demand again so we can help the Philippine coffee farmers this time.
Amen to that. Help out the Philippine coffee farmers. And one last question, no, Gab. Moving forward and knowing what you know now, ano pa ang nasa bounce back plan ng The Den?
Sa totoo lang, we're taking it day by day. We're not as well put together as we seem to be. We're just responding to the needs of the den in order to survive, our needs as people in order to survive. It's really one day at a time, and we're just really blessed that I have a team here in the den, the staff that really wants us to continue on operating, a community yun nga, that really wants us, all of us, to survive and thrive, just to make it through.
Exactly, and that's what it is nowadays. It's taking things day by day, and it's I don't know. It's really I like what you said, responding to the needs, which is how the den started in the first place.
Yes, kasi can you imagine, di ba, those looking maybe at the den or businesses like ours, oh my God, I have to prepare a battle plan for this. Oh, I have to get everything right. No, just take it one day at a time. The most urgent things you address and deal with, and then make sure to take care of yourself because it's really extraordinary times. I mean, you're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to take that time off, and then when you're well, let's get back to work again.
Such encouraging words, and actually you transitioned na into our final our final portion of the program of today, which is what is your final message to to hubs or to art spaces to hybrid organizations like the Den, and for small businesses who are experiencing the same thing.
Ayun. Oh my God, bibigay talaga ako ng advice.
I mean, ikaw bahala. Anong encouraging words natin para sa
Sige.
mga kaibigan natin, no?
Ayun, I think encouraging words, uh, all of us have our own communities that don't want to see us fail. It's very important to recognize that. I recognize that here, and I appreciated that here in our community in Escolta. And I'm sure that each and every one of you have your communities that don't want to see you fail and that wants to see you survive, whether it be uh, your communities that are in geographic proximity to you, your communities of shared interest, your communities of same action. So just allow yourself to lean in. You can't make it through this period by yourself. It really takes a community just to make it through this.
Wow, such amazing words. It really does take a village. And thank you so much, Gab and the Den Manila, for participating and providing insights on your experience as a small business, as an arts organization, during this time of the pandemic. And of course, for everyone who is watching, the Den is now open, and is accepting all of your coffee orders.
Yes.
And
We're
also, go ahead.
Yeah, we're currently on this temporary schedule, so we're open Mondays to Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then maybe something to look forward to tomorrow. We're speaking of hyper collaboration. We're doing something with Salad Day. So Salad Day is a fashion brand
Yes,
by
we love them.
Villar Mateo. So we're doing something at the Den. We're posting something tomorrow, and we look forward to everybody just seeing what happens next week.
And of course, you can find the Den on Facebook, and Instagram. So
Yes.
again, thank you so much for joining us today, Gab. And I'm sure, pupunta ako dyan, definitely, pagbalik ko.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us. And it feels really good to chat with you today. And even if it's just virtually, so keep fighting, and we'll keep rooting for each other.
Yes.
All right. So bef- before we go, I want to thank, of course, DTI Design Center of the Philippines for making the first Virtual Design Week PH possible. Thank you so much. As we mentioned, today is the last day of the main events of Design Week PH. Hope you guys learned and enjoyed our virtual celebration, and hope that we see you later at Raymond Gutierrez's art therapy workshop. And of course, at our live performances with three incredible local artists, Siddhartha, Route 86, and isang paborito natin, isa siyang frontliner and a musician based in Canada, Han Han. Okay, I will surely be checking it out. And if you're worried about missing out, don't worry, because you can watch all of the main events on the Design Week Design Center Facebook page. We'd love to see how you're doing, so don't forget to tag us using our official hashtag Design Week PH. Again, thanks for joining us today. My name is Andre Nicolai Pamentuan from Fringe Manila and Pineapple Lab. Have a great Saturday, and see you later.